And here we are. I am here today with an individual who has got so many names that, like, as in so many like titles and things that she's involved with. I'm just going to list them out for you because it's Mandy Wong, but she didn't want to list them all, so I'm going to do it for her. So we've got show creator, art director, character designer, illustrator, a visual developer, and also you've got another one, which was it visual effects?
Visual effects, yeah.
There we go. So you've got so many things under your belt. So thank you so much for coming on the show, and shout out to Ria Carrigan who introduced us, which was amazing. And so your show, you're involved in a lot of different things, mainly focusing around illustration. So I wonder if you want to tell us about yourself and about your YouTube show and anything else you want to say as a kind of jumping off point, and then we'll go through the rest of the conversation.
It's where I get stressed. Millie and Lou, which is these guys at the back. I don't know, obviously not many people have probably seen it, but it's the 15 episodes that you can watch on YouTube for free. It's been created by me and my husband. Rory Cook is my husband. He didn't want to chat.
He lives my show. You can do that by yourself. Thank you, Mandy.
It'd be really funny if we would just slightly listen to yourself. That's the show is out already. We finished production like in January. And actually now we've just released an app for the show as well, which is a coloring app. You get to, in the show there's a big book, and then in the big book in the app you can color in the pages and you can update the book yourself, which is what the characters do in the show. They don't just color in, they sort of edit and update as they get to know more friends. So the whole show, I'm just talking everything so backwards at the moment.
It's fine.
The show is about celebrating the magic of making friends. So ultimately, these two characters go around and make friends with people that are very different to them in terms of like their culture, how they look, how they sound, how they behave. The whole show is about kind of seeing kind of what you have in common with people that seem different to you. It's kind of the whole kind of core of the show. And 15 episodes means we have 15 different characters. And they're all little monsters. They're all cute. They're all. This is one of them that I've made. It's called Wallace. Everyone's favorite. So that's kind of like what I've been focusing on for it's something that we waited like 4 years to make, and then including production, it's been a 5 years thing. But making cartoon has been a dream of 15 years. This sentence, I prepare so much. We've been trying to make shows since university, and at the beginning, it was actually me, Rory, and Matt. So Matt Stevens is our he was at uni with us basically, and he was kind of like, he was older. So Matt came back and did a degree when he was a little bit older. I say old now, maybe he felt old when I was young, but he's not even that old now, I realize. Matt was a bit older now, so he just was like, let's make a cartoon. It's something we want to do. But I think he was like the leader for it, but eventually after graduating, we tried to sell the show that we created at uni, but it just didn't work for like 10 years. We tried for a long time. And then eventually Matt went to America. He found a job on the beach, come on. So he went, and then, so that kind of it just kind of like gone quiet really. Until one day, I think Blue Zoo is the animation company who, helped us make Millie Lou. They've kind of been they've been, a very nice company for us for a long time, where basically, Rory worked there for like 15 years and I worked there after like a year after graduating. So I worked at Blue Zoo for a long time, and it's kind of like how this whole thing kind of happened. It's that at one point they were just basically looking for IP. So we pitched Millie Lou to them, and then and that kind of, I feel like I'm just going on and on. Like, I feel like you should
I was waiting for you to finish the sentence. So every time you finish the sentence, you start a new one. So I was like, I'll wait for her to just come to a stop when she's ready, and then I'll jump on in. I don't want to interrupt. You were talking about like the starts of the show, but it's interesting hearing. I've got obviously some notes and things because obviously I do research before speaking with any of my guests.
Yeah.
But I noted that you had this dream for 15 years, and it's been like 4 to 5 years like behind the scenes, and that's something that a lot of people I think don't appreciate. Like they see an animated show on YouTube and they go, oh, and they do it with podcasts and everything. They go, oh, 10 minutes of animation. Oh, that probably took you, half an hour, a couple hours. And you're like, are you serious? Do you have any idea how long it takes? Especially animation, with animation, you've got less constraints than live action in certain ways, but in other ways, you've got way more. You can't really just fumble your way through animation. It's quite a specific art that someone has to do. And so I think in recent years, animation has started to get a bit more sort of respect behind it. Because, in the 90s and things, we had kind of where anime became more popular in Europe and in more of the Western world, you had shows like Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon, things like that come over. You already had cartoons like Simpsons and things like that, which were already popular to a degree. And you've got like Looney Tunes and Mickey Mouse going back. But it was still this kind of weird thing where it wasn't having as much respect as it should have done. And then over the years, people are slowly starting to respect it more with things like Arcane on Netflix and Invincible on Amazon Prime and stuff like that. They're like, oh, and like Rick and Morty and South Park kind of, even though obviously South Park was 90s anyway. But it's things where it's like, for ages, people are like, okay, well, animation either has to be for kids, it has to be anime, or it has to be funny. And there's nothing else you can do with it. And it's like, you can do everything you can do with live action, but in animation and more. And it's such a weird thing that so few people really recognize that. There's so many people I know who are like, oh, I didn't watch that show. Why? It was animated. It's like, that shouldn't affect your enjoyment. What are you talking about? I watched loads of amazing animated shows.
I feel like that was me when I was older. I feel like people could hate me if I said when Pokemon came out, I think I was a teenager, so I was a little bit like, that's clearly for kids. So I kind of stopped watching cartoon for a little bit just to like, I need to grow up now. But yeah, now, definitely like stuff like Rick and Morty is definitely like stuff for adults. And I think everyone wants to get involved with doing stuff like that. I think.
Oh yeah,
so much fun.
But like with you and your sort of your intrigue in animation. So where did that come from? Because you were saying before we pressed recording, you lived in Hong Kong for a first portion of your life. So do you think that impacted things, or just how did you get into? Because all of your life has basically been all the numerous titles that are on your website that I gave you with that at the start. They're all interwoven with animation. So I'm just intrigued of how you kind of went into that world and where you decided to try and make a career out of it. Really.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think, after we talked about so much anime stuff, obviously in Hong Kong, we were mostly watching anime. We have a lot of Western stuff, but I think because it was in English, I kind of feel like I don't want to be going to school after school because we had to learn English at school because, Hong Kong being used to be a colony of England. So I just was like, I just want to watch stuff that dubbed, basically. So we had a lot of like cool stuff. I think when I was a kid, my favorite thing was like stuff like Sailor Moon. So Sailor Moon, Power Rangers, Doraemon. I love Doraemon. And Doraemon there were still comics coming out while it was also on TV. So just really cool. And then I wrote down 2 names that I'm going to try and say. They sound really weird in Chinese already. So one of them is called Magical Circle Guru Guru. It's actually on Crunchyroll that you can watch. I feel like I'm just helping these.
Do it, please. My listeners love it. And I'll put them in the show notes as well. So people are going to love listening to this.
It's really cool. Like, actually, I don't know whether like the TV version I saw didn't have the game stuff, but like I found a new episode recently and it had all this like game reference. So I'm not really sure whether they cut that out when I watched it because I don't remember it. But if you watch it now, it's like kind of like a Zelda, but like it's kind of like a comedy version of it. So it's really funny. So basically the chosen one was like, don't want to be the chosen one, but he's part of the story. So he's, oh God, I have to do this. So it's really funny to have that. So it's a really, really funny thing. And then one of my favorite characters, he just constantly don't wear any pants. So they constantly do like a view from the bottom. I don't know why. And then wind will come and you can see his bum. I don't know why, but that was like so weird. I guess it is so weird. As a kid, you're like, what's that about? Why did they do that? Doesn't make any sense. But it's hilarious. And I always, I really like that character. And then the other one, which is funny, is called Goldfish Warning. I don't know if people have heard it.
Goldfish Warning, wow.
Yeah, I think one of the goldfish goes to school with a girl. I feel like I might be mixing my memories here. But but like also what's funny in that cartoon is that I think Sailor Moon, you know, like they look really pretty all the time, and then moments of it they're funny. But with this one, they do it to ridiculous amounts. So it's like when they're like simple, they're like super like simple, and like they suddenly they're like chibi size, so massive head, and then the head is the same size as the body. But then in moments of it, they will have like sparkles, and then they like look really serious and beautiful. It's just like I guess I just like weird stuff. But now I look at this list, I'm seeing like a pattern here. And yeah, so I think that's kind of how I just really, really loved that cartoon. I remember like I always come home and finish all the homework and make sure I don't miss any of it, even though Sailor Moon is kind of almost very similar every week. But you know, in Power Rangers, you know, I'm probably just gonna get people go, no, it isn't. But yeah, and actually from Sailor Moon and Power Rangers, the format is it's kind of what inspired us to make Millie Lou. So the format of those are like monsters a week. So every week you have a problem, and then the problem comes to a monster, then you see the monster, you know, you get that kind of format. So it's kind of what inspired us to make Millie Lou, and it's basically just an excuse to make lots of characters that are cute and, you know, cool as well. You know, imagine like so yeah, that's kind of the reason, that's kind of the backbone of why we created the show.
Because with animation it's so freeing as well. That's one of the things about anime. Like, you know, my girlfriend Megan, she doesn't really like anime very much. I'm hoping to change that eventually. What I'm hoping is in the far future, when we have kids and things, I can get them into it, and then she's forced
to get onto this list. And then
I know, yeah, exactly. I've already started writing these down, so you know I'm going to get her straight into Goldfish warning. But the thing is, she doesn't like stuff that's too weird, and that's the thing. Like, there's movies we watch or TV series. If one weird thing happens, she's just turned off from it. There's movies
like,
she'll love.
What's weird? What's weird to her?
It's hard. It's a weird. I'm trying to think, like, as an example, because for example, there's a Nickelodeon show called Fairly Odd Parents. She loved that, but she hated SpongeBob. And I thought those two were married. I love both of them.
That's quite weird. Yeah, I see.
But she has a threshold for strangeness, and if something goes too off the wall and bizarre, she can't get back on the rails with it. Once she's off, she can't. Whereas I'm a lot more forgiving, because I used to watch anime. I mean, I watched a bit of Pokemon and stuff, but I watched a lot of Dragon Ball Z. But then I've watched like other things since then, Fullmetal Alchemist, but also Vampire Hunter D, Fist of the North Star, the more gorier ones generally. When I was younger, because I had an older brother, and he was like, "Watch this ridiculously cool anime that's got a dude who could slice people with his fingers, and you watch people's brains splatter out." And me, as like 12-year-old, was like, "Yes, greatest thing ever." But I've always embraced the weird. Like with anime, I think one of the things with anime specifically, I mean, animation does this anyway, but they over-exaggerate mannerisms and body movements. And as you say, you know, when they get really weird, their face goes all chibi and cute, because it's like going over the top to show body language. And I think it's one of the reasons why, especially when you are a kid, a lot of animated stuff and anime itself really appeals, because, you know, if you watch a drama, for example, and two people having a conversation, you have to watch quite carefully and know a lot about how people are to understand the facial expressions and this, that, and the other. But with animation and then further anime, because they're so exaggerated, it's very easy and clear to see how people are feeling in certain scenes. So I think it makes it easier as the watcher to connect potentially.
That's true. Yeah.
That's my theory.
And I was just thinking, do you know what? I'm just going to look at my phone because I want to share this really weird anime on Netflix.
Yeah, do it.
See if I can find it. It's just super, super weird.
I'm always happy to share weirdness.
You might, like it. I see if I can find it. It's like a little boy who's like trying to be like a samurai, and he moves into the neighborhood, like this new neighborhood, and he just acts like an adult. It just sounds. I might have to just send it to you later, and then I might be able to find it.
That's fine. You can. I'll put it in the show notes. I'll put it along with the other two I've got written down as well. It's not. It's easy.
I mean, I have only watched like 2 episodes of it.
So you're going to recommend this to people, and people are going to watch it. Episode 3, it's going to tank. People are going to be like, "This is the worst show ever."
The first one's rubbish, but it is the idea of it, isn't it? It's just such a. I don't think we would do it. I think what's so good about Japan, but they don't really worry about things too much, and they sort of just like do it. And I think that's why you have so many like interesting content, because I'm pretty sure if I pitch that, people are like, no, don't do that. Whereas in Japan, it's, oh my God, that's different. It's true, isn't it? So yeah.
But you never know. Agree.
You don't know. People could watch Millie Lou and be like, make weird stuff.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I mean, the first episode is obviously of Cornwallis, who is a unicorn who eats clovers and then gets magic powers that he can kind of regrow things, basically create things, regrow things with his magic clover power from his horn. And it's such an off-the-wall thing, but that's not even the central point of the episode. That's a part of the episode, but that's not even the main through line. So I was watching it, I was like, this is weird, but really cool. And I watched the following episode, I think it was Naru, and he's been like asleep for 50 years. And he looks at the stars, and he's like, how long has it been? And he's like, it's been 50 years. I overslept again. And you're like, whoa, oversleeping by 50 years. The dream.
I wish. It's annoying. Not annoying, sorry. It's like, obviously we only have so much time to tell a story. So I'm always going into meetings and go, can I have like random stuff? Definitely. Thoroughly, I can see now on my list that I'm just want the weird moments that doesn't really mean anything, just to like make ourselves laugh. But my poor team has to take me seriously. They're like reading, Mandy Wong, you want him to go under the table and knock the table over, things fall up, like just not part of the story, just because I think it would be funny. And I'm like, it's okay, don't take me seriously. I just get into this mode of writing stuff. But they do try very hard. So my friend who was our storyboard supervisor, it's called Catherine. So she would try and put it in, and I appreciate it so much because she's like, right, I'm listening, I'm gonna try it. And then it's why you get those moments in other episode where Cornwallis rolled into the shots and like for no reason, he just does it just because I keep saying it. I'm like, wouldn't it be nice if he just rolled into shot like all the time? So they managed to get those in. So yeah, no, it's a lot.
They are very funny. There's a bit in the episode with Cornwallis where it's like it's people's reaction faces, and it zooms in, and it's like zooms in on Millie, then Lou, then Cornwallis, and then the Scarecrow Pumpkinhead. That's obviously just a Scarecrow Pumpkinhead, and then it zooms, and it's just, I found it was very visually appealing, and it was very funny, even for me as a near 30-year-old.
Yeah, I think
something.
That's what's so good about it, and that is our goal. Is it should be a comedy as well, rather than. Because, you don't want to be like, although obviously it's about, something very meaningful, friendship and including everyone. But, you don't want to be all emotional or sad about it. But it's also like fun as well. So, and it's fun to make a friend who's different to you. Because it's like, for Cornwallis, like how he runs through that soap course. But like to him, that's him doing him. That's not him doing a course wrong. But to Lou, that's doing it wrong. But I think that's what's so special about it. It's like it should just be like, do you? And it's it's as good as Lou doing it or something. I don't know. Yeah. Probably not really saying that.
It's like Lou is the air quote, the straight man in essence. He's kind of by the book. He wants to do everything, careful, and obviously because he's a cat, that goes well into what cats are generally like. They're in air quotes proper, and they're a bit more, together, or they like to think they are. And then you shine a light near them, and they go bizarre. But I love cats, to clarify. But obviously Millie's a bit more fun and accepting, whereas Lou's a little bit more straight. And then there's not necessarily conflict, but you can see that they're both have a slight perspective on things. And especially when they meet Cornwallis, it's like Lou's a bit more apprehensive, and he's a bit like, what's this weird creature eating clover and shooting beams out of his horn? While Millie's like, oh, cool, there's a weird creature shooting beams out of his horn. Let's go make friends. And then throughout the episode, as it unravels, it's Lou learning to accept Cornwallis and their quirks. And that is something I really did appreciate. And as you said slightly earlier, it's just that everyone's different. Everyone has a different way of doing things, whether it's you're from a different culture or you're just a different person. Different doesn't mean wrong. And I think that's something that is so important to instill into not just children, but people in general. But obviously, if you start with a kid,
exactly,
it's easier.
Yeah, it's really interesting you say that, because that's kind of like, as I was saying, it was really the core of it, and also like the fact that me and Lou are like that is kind of based on me and my husband, not because we're crazy.
Not because you're married to a cat. Rory's not a cat, is he? Because is that what he's not on for?
Rory's not. Imagine that. No. So it's how our attitude towards making friends. It's not just we basically, because I like we were saying earlier. So I think I was sent to England when I was 11. And basically my parents stayed in Hong Kong, and actually my siblings eventually went back as well. So friends are like such a big part of my life. Is how I like survived really. So whereas with Rory has a big family. He's got loads of siblings. He's got like 5 brothers and 1 sister, so like lots of siblings. So he kind of like, not like he doesn't need any friends. His friend's gonna be crying now. No, he just like, because he already had that best friend. You know, he had already set 6 best friends. So it's quite, for him, it's not the same as me. I'm always having my friends are like my family, which is why in the show you can see why like Millie doesn't, not like it's gonna sound really bad, she doesn't have parents or something. No, but like that's kind of like why, she's the one who kind of go around and like be so excited about people, and I'm just going off the trail now.
It's fine. You're talking about found family basically, and the importance of it.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's kind of why that's how the show sets up. And whereas like with Lou, it's like I've already got one best friend, but eventually, Lou does realize there's such value in like getting to know people and learn from them. So eventually he does like people. It's not like he just wipes them off. Actually, I hate them. But yeah, I guess it's just live, isn't it? You just don't have. I guess you just almost don't have as much time, right, to like keep in touch with everyone.
And you got different. Like I've got several friends, and I have got 3 brothers, but one of them is a brother of mine because my blood brother married someone who's now my sister-in-law, and it's her brother. So he's a brother-in-law. And then my 2 brothers, one of them is 17 years older than me, and the other one's like 20 years older than me. So they're brothers. They're my dad's sons, but they're not my mum's. So my dad was married, had kids. They split up, and then dad got with my mum and then had me. So I never grew up with brothers in the house, but they were a part of my life, but I'd see them occasionally. When I was in sort of a kid, one of them lived quite far away and the other one lived closer but couldn't drive. So it was just there's a period of time I didn't see them both as much.
Right.
And then as I became an adult, I did. But growing up, I had a very similar upbringing to an only child. So more so where I didn't have loads of kids and people around me. I had to kind of entertain myself. And then I made friends from there. And when I made those friends, that's what I'm more similar to you in that regard, where I don't have necessarily. Now I'm older and I've got nieces and nephews and things. It's slightly different, but it's found family was really important for me, and spending time with these people. So I completely understand that. And I think it's also, it's something that I think is really undervalued a lot of the time. There's always people being about, you have to be loyal to your family and all this stuff, and it doesn't matter how horrible they are, you have to be. And it's like, no, I think you can be more forgiving with certain members of your family, but if you've got a family member and they're just being awful to you, you don't have to keep them in your life for the sake of it. And it's the same with friends. If you've got a friend who you're seeing all the time, you can keep seeing them as much as you want. It's one of those things. It should just be about your own choice. And I think with Millie and Lou, it really shows like, just let people do what they do, and spend a lot of time with your friends and kind of try out new things. And when you do that, you often find that these new experiences, even if it's not something you're going to be doing every day, they still add something to your life. And I think that's one of the brilliant amalgamations of the show of it's got heart. It is funny as well. I don't want to downplay to people listening how it is very funny. A very tiny thing that makes me giggle. It's not even a funny thing. You're going to look at me like, why do you, but it's just when Lou whistles and the book kind of flies and flaps at him and catches it. I just think that was so cute and fun. I loved it. It just made me giggle when I first saw it. So things like that I really like.
He had a flute. But we thought but he also had glasses. So we were like, we were talking to Jim Bruce, and we were like, well, you can't have him like get the glasses out, get the flute out. It's just too many things. And where is he getting it from? So that's why I changed your whistle. And actually, it's a whole funny story. And it's a shame as well. Like, so my dad's a really good whistler. So we want to record him, but he was in Hong Kong. It's pandemic. So we didn't get to use it. But we did use his voice as a demo.
Really?
So that's nice. So and also the glasses thing is kind of inspired by my dad. So you find I talk about this a lot, where a lot of our characters are based on like mix of different traits of our friends and family, just because we think it's funny. Basically, my dad, you know what? He's a bit of an artist, so he does like amazing choreography, like really, really good choreography, where he gives them out to friends, Chinese New Year and stuff. And he used to carve walking sticks because he spent most of his life as a policeman. And at one point, he did a lot of hiking around the borders to kind of like watch the borders. So they use a lot of hiking stick ultimately. So he would sculpt like dragons and stuff, very Chinese stuff. But then eventually he like got older, and his eyes weren't as good. So he got like a bit sad about it, basically. But eventually he kind of like got into it a bit because he started buying really funny glasses to kind of cheer himself up, I think. And so I just thought it was really funny. So I used to go back once a year. At the moment, it's stuck with pandemic, but I used to go about once a year, and then so 1 year turned up and he just had these fun glasses. But you know what? He just thought, you know what? I just have to, you just have to get on. And it's why we put that on Lou, just because I guess it's really nice for our family to see a piece of themselves in our work as well, because I mean they've been waiting around for a long time for us to do something, right? So yes, that's kind of why Lou has the glasses, but lost the flute.
It's always fun hearing little tidbits of why things happen in shows the way they are and who they're inspired by, and like the way the people around you directly and indirectly influence you in lots of little ways and things. And I want to ask, sort of, with your obviously you said that when you were younger you liked a lot of anime, and animation then kind of came from there, but what people may not know about you, and I'm going to encourage them to go to your website, mandywong.co.uk, link will be in the description, because you've got some incredible artwork on there. And I was going to ask, the note I've got is, how do you name your paintings except the Donuticorn, which is fairly obvious as to why that's called a Donuticorn. So I wonder if you could talk just about your painting. Like, did you used to doodle in school? What kind of made you like sell your art? Because that's your art is amazing and it deserves to be sold. I especially love Legend of Zelda one and the Stranger Things ones. They're incredible. I'll be saving up to buy them at some point. But with like, how did it all come about? Really, I'm really intrigued by that.
Yeah, I think, in my family, like, people always drawn stuff, but they've not taken the career because it's very traditional, Chinese family. They just like, don't draw, you're going to, starve and stuff. But I think they love it. They secretly love it. So I think, when we sit in a restaurant and the back of a receipt or order form thing, my uncle would be like trying to draw a cat. Oh, do you know how to draw a cat? Do you know how to draw a tiger? I don't know why it's all tiger cats and stuff. Maybe that's why I got so much cat stuff in my show. So yeah, it was this whole thing. And my dad would like always trying to finish my artwork for school. I don't know why, because I don't think he needed to. I think he just wanted to. So they've always like made stuff. So so I guess naturally I was always drawing, and me and my sister used to like make comics and magazines for our toys. So I love plush toys. This is why I make my own plush toys, because I've always wanted to design and make them. We just made up loads of stories to our characters. For some reason we want them to get married all the time. Like Tweety has to get married to Garfield. I think it was like my favorite toy and my sister's favorite toy. And so we used to draw a magazine and we'd pin it on our bedroom wall so my dad could read it. I don't know. He does actually read it. I don't know why I expected him to read it. I just did a lot of that with my sister, and I think eventually I even got my cousin to get involved as well. Her house is like a village. We call it hers is like number 2 village, and we swap these magazines to read. So that's something I did when I was in Hong Kong. But eventually, so I think secretly I always want to be some sort of like designer or do something artistic. I think at first I want to be a manga artist, and until I see the back of the manga. Have you ever seen like the picture of the comic artist, the manga artist, where they're just so stressed? I was like, probably just like, it's very much a
deadline thing, isn't it? It's like you have to get, that's why so many anime they go off the rails, like Full Metal Alchemist, for example. It's like, here's Full Metal Alchemist, and here's Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Watch Brotherhood, because Alchemist overtook the manga coming out, and they completely apparently messed it up. Apparently, because I've not watched that one. Whereas Full Metal Brotherhood, they released that after the manga was out. So the animation looks a bit better and the audio is a bit better, but also it followed the manga. So I know there's lots of I think Attack on Titan did it as well. They had to keep the series was coming out, and they had to keep going sorry, no more series for 2 years. And everyone's like, why? Because the manga is just taking forever. So you've got these manga artists I can't get out quick enough. Quick, there's pressure on me. But obviously you don't want your work to get worse. So it's I think it would be quite stressful.
Oh my god! Yeah, so I think it was that. And then, do you know what? I think my dad did buy me manga paper, but I always just do draw the character or something and then just give up. I guess I always enjoy designing characters. It's probably what I realized actually. That's probably what my main thing is. But yeah, so eventually then suddenly I was sent to Hong Kong, to the UK, and at that point I actually couldn't speak any English. So basically I was thinking about your question the other day. So I think like really, I think I really held on to drawing is because it's the way, it's the only way that I can communicate with people 100%. Like it's a universal language. I didn't have to, people didn't have to know Chinese. I didn't learn English. And I think that was why I kind of like, it sounds really terrible. It's for survival. That's why I was drawing. No, I think it was just because, I think it's also like, it's the only way I can appreciate friendship again, like coming back to like the friendship thing is because some people, because I couldn't speak English, I mean, I can't really contribute to like group projects and stuff. So, but some people were they saw that I could draw. So they were like, well, you can do all the pictures. So it was this whole thing. I think it's just that moment of like realizing, and that whole thing where people, so you are different, you can't speak the language, but there's something you can do well. And I think it's why I kept going with drawing. And I think I started this whole thing is drawing people because I can hardly, sometimes, I mean, I can't, it's a shame I can't remember all their names, probably because my English was so basic at the time. So I think I just would draw them. So I actually started this whole thing where I just draw people I like. So I do little portraits, and then at the end of the year, I keep fiddling with this is because I want to hear my own voice, so I don't speak too loud.
That's completely fine. You don't need to apologize for changing.
Posing the whole time.
I mean, I scratch my nose and itch my and touch my hair all the time, and only when editing my podcast, I'm like, I touch my hair a lot, or my beard. I find I do this quite a lot.
I'm listening. I'm sorry. So I started drawing. I just keep, I still do it now. I do it now. I actually do it at work, like you were saying about like, being, having like chosen families on. I think even like when I changed job massive. So halfway through my career, I changed to visual effects. I'm like this weird animation person. Now it's more common. People do both. But at the time, I think it was a bit like, oh, what's going on? So I think it was very similar as well. I think I was like this odd person who had toys on my desk. I'm sure everyone does now, but at the time it wasn't. So I think it's like that similar thing. And then I got into this mode of drawing people at work as well. I guess it doesn't really leave you, this whole thing you've always done to appreciate. It's to appreciate people's friendship. Like, thanks for being nice to me. Here's a drawing of you. So that's something I've always done. And at uni, when I did so much doodles, like one of my friends actually collect all my, I think she's got a box of my doodles. She would just come over and just peel it off, like without asking, because it's a very good friend of mine. She just like, so all my notes have this corner cut off, and it's really sweet. So eventually I got to speak to one of her friends, and her friends, I heard about you. I've seen the box of like doodles. And I'm like, Jesus, she's still got the doodles. It's been like 20 years or something. Sorry, I kind of gone off the. I don't know. I can't remember what the question was.
That's the point of the podcast. That's part of the fun. I'm here to keep things on the rails. You can go off on 1,000 tangents. It's my job as the host to try and keep things vaguely on the rails. So don't worry about it. It's not a problem.
But I would just basically try and say how drawing is something that, like, it's one of my language. Like apart from English and Chinese, I think drawing has always been a very important language for me. That I think. It's why I end up doing it. I've been very privileged to be able to do a little bit of that. Really.
Yeah, and with I agree completely. And also, one thing I noted down when watching your show as well was, and I assume this was intentional, that all of the written down language in Millie and Lou is not any real language. It's like wingdings, it's swirls and weird shapes and things. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, I bet they've done that, because then, audio-wise, you can dub different actors on it without having to change things. But also, anyone who either can't read or can't read that language doesn't feel like they're losing anything. It's more about...
Yeah, exactly.
There is writing on this page, but it doesn't matter what the writing actually is. That's not important. It's just you can see there's writing in a picture. So I noticed that part, and I want to... Like, linking in with what you've been saying now, I think that that's a really important thing, where you don't need the words to make the visuals work. Yeah,
and also it's the idea that I think if kids can't read English or whatever, then they don't feel like they're missing out.
Yeah,
they don't feel like they're not part of the gang. So I think it really works.
Yeah, I completely agree. And so I wanted to ask, with your paintings and things, I mean, is hearing about you...
Oh, yeah, you were asking about my paintings. That's what it was.
It's part of the fun. Dotting around here. But one of the things you mentioned, I'm going to show you. Megan actually... Megan is a much better artist than I am. I'm good at graphic design. I'm not very good at drawing and things, my hands just don't seem to work how I want them to. But for my birthday, she made me comics out of photos from us.
Oh my god!
So she made she made them at school because she's a teacher. So she made like little things like that with photos of us with
really
little sound bubbles and things. And I just thought, and I've got them on my desk that I can always. She made me 2 of them. That one's about how we got our tortoise Wicket. So you should be able to see her in a little.
Oh, it's like a moment as well. It's like a story.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the other one is how we met, which is where it says where it all began. See, it says her surname is Gritty. It says Gritty Productions, issue number 1, and this was issue number 2. So she made these really cute things, and I've got them as well as a few photos and things. I've got them on my desk.
You got one per month, or you got together?
No,
are you not
quite
expecting more? More volume 3.
It took her ages to make those because she was just using a school printer and things and doesn't have the same graphic design capabilities that I have. But she made both of them for me for. It was either last Christmas or my last birthday. So it was in the last couple of years. And I absolutely loved them. And she was like, I was going to try and make you more, but they took ages. And I was like, you don't have to worry. There's no pressure. And whenever she makes me a birthday card, she draws them as well and makes little doodles on them and things as well. So I really, and that thing, whenever I look at it, it just makes me smile, and we're little gestures like that. So the visual element of things, I completely get.
I was just going to say, drawing in cards, that's something I've always done. But eventually people got a bit sad. My auntie, like when they opened, there was an expectation. And then I got really busy at uni. So I just sent a card and then they'd be like, it's just a shame that you don't have time to draw. It was actually just disappointed when I don't do it. So it's a little bit of a pressure. And then like sometimes like, I don't know, I shouldn't be so confident, just use a marker, but like I do, and then it's terrible. And then I just draw the person that I'm trying to draw and then just do a whole writing and just be like, sorry, this is really bad. Like this is often what happens now. But yeah, it's the whole thing. And I like to think that I've inspired my in-laws brothers to do it. I think I was the first one and now they all do it. Just I need that credit.
We've got it now in recording. Mandy was the first one in her family to start doodling in cards. Okay, I'm here as a witness.
They're much better than me though. They're much better. They're really funny, so I'm not as funny.
Oh, maybe you'll be able to evolve into that and things, because I mean, some of your paintings on your website, like you've got the Legend of Zelda inspired ones and the Stranger Things inspired one, but you've got quite a lot of like originals, and they're kind of like how I imagine you see the world in some ways, because you love horror, but you also love cute things. So it's this amalgamation of like almost like chibi gore is almost how one would describe it. And I love that style. And I just want to ask, like, with the paintings, was that something, obviously, because Millie Lou's quite a newish part of your life, you've been in the world of animation. So did you start your website to sell those paintings initially, or how did that kind of come about, selling paintings?
Yeah, so basically, like, I think selling your own art is like the dream, right? So like we all want to do it. I only make enough to cover that, but it's a whole passion project, really. So I guess it's just something that I want to do for myself, and I think for my career, even though like I've enjoyed my career, but part of it I kind of felt like I had to make sure I earn enough, because my parents they gave up quite a lot of their salary to like send me and my siblings abroad. So I think, I have to be a success, really. Like, otherwise I feel like I owe it to them. So I think I just found myself, at the point I was doing those painting stuff, taking art more seriously. I've already been working for 10 years. And I think I just got to a point where I just felt like, I'm really stressed. And I kind of just realized I didn't really do anything just for me. Just like me, if like it wasn't because of my parents, if it wasn't because of certain people expecting you to succeed. And I think when I say success for my culture is to make lots of money, and it isn't really to sell art. So I think I just decided like I want to give it a go. And I think at the time people were making loads of screen prints, so I started collecting them myself. So I thought it would be really fun to just do a course. So I just decided to take a few months off just for myself. Like, so in my career I took like for 4 months off to do a screen printing course, and I think people really liked it. So like in the studio I was printing and stuff, so it was really nice. And then eventually I found ELP, East London Printmakers, and they're very happy to include anyone's style and stuff. And I saw them at the London Illustration Fair, and I thought, maybe I can like see if I can, how do I make friends with these nice people? And they were very nice. So they yeah, they just did they even now, like now they do annually, they do exhibition, and I think they were just like, you should sell these. And then to be honest, I just thought it's fun to try it. I didn't really think anyone was going to buy it, and then people did. So I was like, oh my god, this is weird. You know, people actually want to pay money for this. So yeah, so I kind of just carried on until pandemic, and then everything stopped during pandemic, so I kind of stopped a bit. But I'm hoping that I will make one more this year. So I'm currently on another work break, so that's one of the things I want to try. Want to do another piece, because the pieces that you saw, which are original, it's kind of like a series. It's a series of kind of like my journey from the point I came to the UK and kind of evolving as an adult, and like the last piece I did, I think it was celebration dance. I love how I was like, I have to remember my own the naming of this stuff. So that naming is kind of more, and like, yeah, you were asking about how I named the stuff. It's kind of like all the stuff is, it's deep stuff, but I always think it's too, it's the whole thing. I don't like to get too, emotional about things, because, everything, there's always happy and there's always, sad, emotional. So I think I just always like kind of like a bit of comedy in it. So I want to basically make myself laugh, which is why celebration dance kind of came from like, actually my brother-in-law, he just does this like dance thing when he comes into the room. He'll just like this silly dance just to kind of like cheer you up or something. So I think it came from him, to be honest. It came from like, he started doing it, and I think I started doing it a little bit. So I just always think I was celebration dance, and this didn't get into the show, but I thought it was really cool when the show ends, Millie does the celebration dance. But then everyone else is like, no, because you're going to take up time for no reason once again. So I actually drew the dance moves in the pitch Bible, but didn't get it. So yeah, I think celebration dance always been in my head. So again, it's like it's a silly thing, but I kind of like, it's kind of how I always mix things. It's like, I guess it's like full life, right? You have sad stuff, like, I mean, it was sad to like have to leave my family to come in, but like I wouldn't be doing this if my parents didn't do that whole thing. And it was really hard for them, but I think they just knew there'd be more opportunity if I didn't stay in Hong Kong, because it's just so competitive. You get a classroom with 45 children, whereas here it'd be like 15 or 20. You know what I mean? The attention you can give to each child is just so much more here. And the education in UK is all about getting you to be who you want to be, rather than trying to fit into a system, basically. And when you fall out of a system, it's really hard to kind of get back in. Whereas here's couldn't be happy. And I think the Prince is all kind of about my journey, how I don't like to use the word survive, because it sounds a bit like I was, I wasn't like suffering. Just how I've been, I guess. It
was how you express yourself is what is coming off this. Like, you express yourself in your art, and you in Millie and Lou, you express yourself in those ways as well. Obviously that's more of a collaborative project, but the paintings and things is you literally just blank canvas. You can draw anything you want. It can mean whatever you want, and I'm sure when a lot of people see them at the exhibitions or when they buy them, they interpret your paintings differently to how you were thinking about them when you do it. But that doesn't lessen yours or their interpretations of those things. It's one of the beauties of art and the visual medium is you can come across the same general message, but people can interpret the independent details sort of in their own way. And I want to ask, with your paintings and things, do you prefer to do things digitally? Do you prefer like pen on paper? Like, what's your what do you like to do when you actually create a painting?
Do you know, I've definitely like paper, because I think
so do I. That's why I've got my notebook.
But like as a kid, I don't know, there's just something nice about, I mean, look, like, don't take me to an art shop, you know what I mean? Just buy all the pens I do not need. It's just something nice about having physical stuff in front of you. And I think the favorite thing I like is brush. I use actual brush, and I also use like scientific brush, just because of how nice it feels, really,
nice
on
and flowy.
paper. Yeah, exactly. And just as much more like organic and less sort of rigid. So that's like my whole thing. I think it's probably due to laziness as well, because like, you know what I mean? It's just a lot of effort to make stuff neat. So over time, that's my style. It's really, and actually that's definitely true, where the first show I was trying to make with my friend. So my friend loves neat artwork because he loves, what's the word? Tango, I think. And the artwork is like really neat, like the outline is very perfect and stuff. So he would spend ages finessing it. He would like redraw all my stuff because he thinks it was too scruffy. Probably was scruffy, you know, that was years ago, not, you know, just to point out that my friend isn't like crazy. So like, and I was like, oh my God, I can't, why are you doing this? Because to me, it's like the story is there, the meanings are there, the characters are there. It doesn't have to be super crazy. Like I just thought, yeah, that's not where I should spend my time. I'd rather spend my time making more things, creating more rather than finessing. However, I do love digital painting because, I mean, come on, you've got all the colors in front of you. You don't have to mix, you don't have to clean. You can just sit on the sofa and you can do it. I mean, it's magic, really, isn't it? So I do, like, I also do every now and then I'll get into like hours of like digital painting. Because it's just incredible what you can do. You know, you can do lighting so easily, whereas, you know, traditionally you probably have to do a color study. I mean, you do it in digital as well, but it's just much quicker, right? You can just really quickly, and it's just less paper. Like I remember the first piece I did it all on paper, so it's just the amount of like redo, fixing, and then scanning, and then cleaning. So it's a lot of process to it. Because eventually they get turned into screen print, so I do have to get it scanned and get it like prepared for, you know, to make all the negatives. I hope that's the right word. I like paper for like sketching and first ideas, but I think you can't beat digital. And I think if anyone was doing it as a career, it's just people would expect to work digitally now anyway. So I think it would be quite something out of like necessity would like have to do it. But yeah, no, I do I like both really. But in terms of colorful paintings, I think probably digital, just because it's convenient. It sounds really lazy as an artist now, just because it's easy.
I mean, it makes sense though. It's like with typing, you know, I find like whenever I do any of my notes for this show, or any of the other ones, like I'll show you something. Some of my listeners have seen this before, and they look in horror. So my notes obviously here that I've shown you, this is, you know, the questions I've been asking you and things like that obviously I sent you beforehand. But I've got my other show, Star Wars Comics in Canon. I go through Star Wars comics. So look how tiny I write. And it's all annotated. So it's all different colors and things, and I put little notes. And what I like about on paper is the freedom.
Yeah.
Even when you've got a software that allows you to do in air quotes everything, with the pen, I can literally go over every letter E. I can underline things. I can write in a different color, just completely a diagonal angle over everything, and it's fine. And when I'm writing notes for things, or I'm trying to do stuff for my own mind, written is better for me, because I'll write a sentence and I'll be like, no, I want to change that bit, but I don't want to change it in a way of remove that word and put a new one in. I want to tweak lots of different things. And the way my mind works is, it's almost, I've described the inside of my brain as like a million sticky notes. There's just post-it notes everywhere about everything. So I just walk into a room and I've got random trivia facts about certain things, because you're just pulling like post-it notes off the wall about animals. And there's more behind it. But when I'm, you know, speaking to someone, if I want to convey a lot of text, or obviously email and things like that, it is cleaner, it is neater. When you know exactly what you're doing, digital is fine. But when I find experimenting and trying to figure out kind of what you're doing, exactly. I think paper's better for me.
Yeah, definitely. I also like the idea that digital, you're always moving things around. Say like if I was on my Cintiq on my computer, then you're moving windows around, and it feels very sort of structured. It feels very structured, so you feel like you're working. And I feel like when you're at the beginning of creating something, I think you can't feel like you're working. You have to what I do, if I was doing a screen print, I actually would clear my whole table. I have quite a big wooden table type situation, and I would get all my references. I kind of like to, not like work in a mess, but I like all the stuff laid out. Like I might have a stand of a book, and I have all my images everywhere. I just like to see it. I don't, for some reason, I'm pretty sure I'm not looking at most of them, but I almost feel like I have to be in it to like get the ideas out or something, but that's kind of how I usually do. And then I just would just draw anything really, like that comes in mind while I'm in this nest of the stuff that I'm trying to create. Like say for like well, like I want to work on a new piece, so it's kind of going to be floral. So I imagine I would just have lots of flowers that probably fits the meaning I'm trying to express, and I like, and I would probably just scatter them everywhere. Probably have actual flowers too on my table and just be there. And I think that's probably just come from like when I was little, I share a room with my sister, so we didn't really have a big table. So I would just work on my bed or on the floor, like. So I think I just so used to being in that almost that pose as well. I probably put my legs on my chair. I almost feel like you have to kind of like be in that most sort of organic situation, I think, to create. I don't think you can like be very neat. I mean, I'm sure people do it. It's probably why people probably get all the layers correct and everything in Photoshop. Whereas I'm just like, I'll try. I'm just constantly just break the rules. I'm terrible. But I think you have to have a flow. I think the flow has to be natural rather than, and I think digital makes it feel too machinery.
Yeah. And it's also like the way, as I say, I'm not an artist by any stretch, but I do graphic design because I said before I do logos and things, like all the genuine Chit-Chat, social media stuff, all that I do all the artwork for, and a few friends of mine have done logos for them as well. But for me, I'm always like, if someone comes to me and they say, here's a podcast, I'd love you to make some artwork for it. It's called blah, 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 go. I'm like, I don't know. But all I need is like one tiny stem of an idea. And then all I do is I just kind of throw things into Photoshop of what looks bad. That's why I start. I go, okay, they want these 5 things in there and these 3 colors. Let's just jumble it around, see how it looks. And then, okay, that looks awful. So does that. But that bit doesn't look too bad. And I tweak and tweak and tweak. And eventually it's almost a process of elimination of what not to do. And that's how I kind of make my artwork.
Oh, interesting.
So, but obviously that's from a graphic design point of view. And that's normally, I don't create like some of the things I use necessarily. I use royalty-free images, or the people who want me to do stuff, they've already got something created, things like that. And obviously a lot of it's text-based when it's logos and things. But it's kind of, even I've dabbled very much in drawing and a few bits and pieces, but it's always like the first time my pen goes to paper and starts to doodle something, it is terrible because and then I look at that and go, that's awful because of XYZ. Well, now when I start the next one, I know what not to do. So I thought even in another world, if I was an artist, I'd use paper to draw and make all the errors. And then I think I'd go to digital on the final product because I kind of know what I'm doing a bit more. Digital's not as... you can in theory do more because you can like undo. You can press just the undo button. But I do feel it is, as you say, kind of less flowy. It feels more mechanical and very rigid. I think it's very much...
I think when you can undo, you're not as thoughtful with your drawing really, because you're just, you can redo it, so you're not even memorizing it, where sometimes, like you were saying, you've got all your sketches out, it's there, you haven't undone any of it, and sometimes actually you come back to actually it's pretty good, but in the moment, because you're expecting yourself to be like amazing and then you're not, and then but like there's I think that's really good. And I think I wasn't saying the first sketches I did are good as well. I mean, they're just like ideas, like you said, they're just your ideas, your first ideas, your version 10 or whatever. And like I was saying, it's just good to keep all of those versions rather than when you undo, you actually lost all the thoughts you have actually in digital. So I would, sketching is always paper.
Yeah, I agree. It's the way to go.
But I envy people who sketch digital well though. I'm like, they're using it like actual paper. I wish I've got that skill, but I don't know, just I think it's undo. Maybe I should change the preference. You can't undo. And then
block it.
Yeah, exactly. But with drawings, I do lose them. That's the problem. Like I probably start drawing. I probably like on my your notepad. I probably start drawing already. Like notes and then drawing. And I remember there's really good drawing in random notebook that I don't, you know what I mean? So it's a bit annoying. So
I can imagine.
But
then sometimes people can save a really cool image somewhere on your computer and you're like, I have no idea what I called it. I don't know where I put it.
Probably in my download folder.
Somewhere. All these 3,000 JPEGs that are all called gobbledygook names. Let's figure out which one of those it could be. But I wanted to ask, so as we get towards the end here and we start to wrap up, I want to ask it's quite a big open sort of question. So answer it however much or as little as you wish to. But sort of
Yeah.
your future, in air quotes, hopes and dreams. Because obviously you said that the journey of Millie Lou has come to an end, at least for the time being. So anything you can talk about? Because you may have things in the background you're not allowed to talk about, and that's fine. But are there any things that either projects you are starting that you can talk about, or just even paintings you want to do in the future? Just kind of, what is the future for Mandy Wong?
Yeah, so like at the moment I'm on a work break already, so that means I'm basically not working for a company. It's just working for myself again. So yeah, definitely the idea is to use this time to like reset, take a break from making the show, definitely, and also to hopefully make more show pictures. So me and my husband are constantly like writing new stuff. So yeah, we're just trying to like put more pictures together. Probably explore different age groups, because we want to tell sort of deeper stories, because I think Millie Lou probably have the mileage to tell a lot of stories in that age group already. So we feel like let's do something for like more grown up, and especially like the whole cute and horror thing is that it's kind of really like, although I do love horror movies myself, but like like the gory stuff, I'm like, no, I'm not such a gory fan. Like I'm for like more ghosts and stuff, because they're almost like folklore stories to me. So it's kind of me and my husband really. So he's a huge love exploding head stuff. So it's kind of why we've always worked together, because I think there's such beauty about it, because it's like Gremlin. I think that is me and my, like, he's huge Gremlins fan, but I've always liked it too. But it's got both. Right. Oh, yeah. So that's probably why, because we're from that genre, like that time. So we both love stuff like that. So yeah, so we're gonna make stuff for older audience, and we obviously hope to make more Millie Lou, because it's probably the best thing we've done. Hopefully people will want to make more of us. So we need to start thinking about what would season 2 be really. How different would it be, and some of the characters we wanted to make, it's not in season 2, because obviously we only have 15. We have to be very careful of like who we picked. So a lot of the characters and a lot of the environments that we want to explore, like I want an autumn episode, but falling leaves probably too expensive. I want a snowy episode, again probably too expensive. I want an underwater episode.
Maybe that could be the season. Each season could almost be a season, not literal seasons. Yeah, so season 1 could be spring or summer, and then season 2 could be autumn, then winter. That could work.
Yeah, it could be. And then, so I want to like use all the characters that we didn't get to play with and meet. So we're doing all of that. And for my personal work, I think, definitely want to finish this series. But I'm not sure how many I can do, just because of the space it takes in my house, and I only live in like a flat. So over time it's just growing too big, and I need to reduce it a little bit. So that's the only reason that I don't think I can carry on doing it. And also it's just really far where I print. It takes me like almost 2 hours to get there. But before I worked in London, so I could go after work, and now it's all remote. So it's just not really it's just a bit difficult in terms of logistic really. But I think there's just something so nice about the real piece of art. So hopefully get one more piece out. Probably do more of that stuff, but not screen print, which is sad because it's a real piece of art. But do more of that, and then maybe probably make toys, because I've made only Lou. I need to make Millie, so that's for fun. Just like I actually started making Con wallets, but never finished.
Huh? Wow, that's incredible. I mean, it's like I still do like cuddly toys. I mean, I don't think I've got any in this. I've got one all the way over there. But I like cuddly toys. But when I was younger, when I was a kid, so when I was like 8 or so, from the age of like 8 to sort of 14, I had so many cuddly toys. I had Beanie Babies, and whenever I'd go on holiday anywhere, or in the UK, just a new place, I'd buy a new one, go to a new zoo, buy a new one. I had like, when I got rid of them, when I became, more of a teenager, and then I started socializing and things more, I had this, it was almost like a hammock at the end of my bed, at the foot of my bed. It was just this net, and it was just filled with cuddly toys and Beanie Babies and all kinds of stuff. And I had to, when I moved out, Mum was like, you are not going to want 2 or 3 bin bags full of cuddly toys. You probably need to get rid of some of them, give them to charity or things like that.
Yeah.
So I've kept a few. I've got like 3 or 4 still in the house, but I love cuddly toys as well and plushes. I used to love a thing called Ugly Dolls.
Ugly Dolls. Oh,
yeah.
I don't have. Oh, I have one right.
Oh, do you? Because I've got cute. Because I got Kinko, Cinko, I think, is a grey one with like 3 eyes, but one of the eyes was missing and tentacles. So I love Ugly Cute. I love that thing, and I used to love cuddly toys. So I'm sure if you made them even more. And
it was Happy Tree Friends as well when I was uni.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, so that was a whole thing. So I guess, yeah. I think it's such irony about it, isn't it? Like Gremlin, it's so cute, but it might bite you. Like, I just think it's so funny. The idea of that, just like, yeah, I guess it's just, yeah. Well, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's the whole thing about like sad things, and then it's like, it's so funny. But like, not funny, but you know what I mean? Sometimes you do talk about the things that happen to you that are actually really sad and not good, but you laugh about it.
Yeah.
It's kind of that idea.
I do that, yeah.
I said it better.
But I mean, I know exactly what you mean. You know, it's a thing that, you know, all cultures do it in different ways. But I know that British people, our humour is quite dry. But the whole thing is like, everything's a bit rubbish, but let's just make jokes about it all and be really sarcastic. And it kind of makes things better. That's why all our comedians all are very dry humour, and a lot of it is talk about, you know, social commentary. And it's kind of, there's so many personas of comedians in Britain who just seem depressed. And they're not depressed necessarily, but their humour comes from seeming depressed. And that's kind of the little in-joke in Britain. So I completely 100% agree.
Yeah.
Well, we'll wrap up here then. I mean, you've been very, very gracious with your time, and I hugely appreciate you coming on the show and talking about, you know, Millie Lou and your paintings and everything like that. Obviously, I'll make sure people check out the links in the description, especially mandywong.co.uk. Even if you've got no money, just check out some of the art there, because it's incredible. You can just scroll through all of it. It's so amazing. I love it. And obviously, Millie Lou, although the general age group is meant to be for preschoolers and young kids, it is still something that's really fun. If you have kids of any age, show them the show. It's no excuse not to. It's on YouTube, and I'll put a link in the description. But it is a really fun, easy to watch show, even as an adult, which I really like. You know, it's a lot of fun. So that's kind of what you want. You want to bring fun and wonder in, and I'd love to see what you do next. So is there any sort of final things you want to say to the audience of any kind before we finish this call?
Thanks very much for listening. Me rambling on. Whether any of it was like interesting to listen to.
It was all interesting and all very coherent, so don't worry.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Yeah, thanks for having me. That was really fun.
No problem at all. And yeah, people check out mandywong.co.uk. It's the best place to keep up to date with all of Mandy's goings on. And hopefully in a few months' time will be more artwork. No pressure, but you know, we're hoping.
Yeah. Thanks very much. Thank you.
No problem.